always like to think about it like this. If you're feeling tested by your manifestation, maybe it's because the universe is like, you know what? I have this plan for you. And in order for you to get where you want to be, you need to get through this test. You need to learn how to hold this thing. You need to learn how to really embody this challenge, because where you're going is great and you have to know how to hold the end result.
The Mindspo podcast.
What do you see with your mind's eye?
Welcome back. Let's elevate. Roll your shoulders up and back. Unclench your jaw. Elongate your spine as you take a deep breath in. And now, exhale. Now take your mind to that person, place, or thing that you have gratitude for, and start to feel into the joy available to you at all times. Elevate into a higher vibration as we expand together and dive into this conversation.
Welcome back to the Mindspo podcast. You are tuning in for another episode in the Mindspo Manifestation series brought to you by Manifesty app. I am here with my partner in crime in business and in life, Chris Soll.
Hello again.
Hello, baby. So today's going to be a bit of a personal manifestation chat. And I really wanted to talk about some of the manifestations that have been coming to fruition in our life, some of the things that have been going from our heads and turning up into reality, and just how when that happens, that comes with a lot of good things, a lot of things that you visualized, a lot of things that you wanted, things that you were calling in. You're like, yes, finally. And then it comes with the other side of the coin. Maybe some negatives, maybe some downs, maybe some things that aren't so nice. And I feel like so often when manifesting and when going for our dreams, we're always thinking about the positives. Like, we love thinking about the positives. I love looking at the sunny side of life. But life is beautiful because it's not always sunny. There are ups, there are downs, there are storms, there are highs, there are lows. This is part of being a human. This is the human experience. You came here for a full rainbow of emotions. Welcome to planet Earth. So I guess we want to talk about maybe some of the storms we've been going through when it comes to manifesting.
Yeah. And, there's a really powerful and important lesson, but also something that you can use as a tool in your manifesting, which is, as you were saying a second ago, there are always two sides to every coin. And we can very easily fall into this, rainbow thinking where we're only thinking about the positive. But the funny thing is, nothing is ever that one-sided. And especially when we're manifesting and when we're visualizing, we're thinking about what we want. It's so easy just to have this like whitewashed version of what it's going to be, but it's never going to be like that, right? And so then if you reverse engineer it a little bit, you can actually use that in your manifesting. If you think about what are the potential negatives that are going to come with the vision, with you getting whatever it is that you're aiming to get. And then that actually allows you to manifest a well-rounded, realistic, normalized version of what you're trying to get. So, like, what are some examples here? Well, we want to buy a house. Wonderful. It's so easy to think of a house as if it's going to be like an Airbnb. You just roll in and the pillows are on the bed and you don't have to clean up and everything's just taken care of. But that's not really what it's like. If you have a house, you're going to have bills to pay. You're going to have things that are going to go wrong. You might need to do maintenance on a garden or a pool. You're going to have to clean up. There's all kinds of, there's things that you wouldn't think about when you're visualizing your amazing house, apartment, whatever. But if you really want to manifest the full rounded version of it, it pays to think about that. And I guess we've now been experiencing some of these well-rounded manifestations, right? So should I share my side of it?
Yeah, but before we get into that, I do want to preface this by saying we are all about focusing on the silver lining.
Yes.
So finding the silver lining in things, but this episode really is about when your manifestation starts to show up, some people take some of the negatives or challenges, or we like to call them tests because we look at manifestation like a game and life is a game. That's the frame that we look at life. When you have this game of manifestation, this game of life unfolding, there will be certain tests and challenges and obstacles that come up. This doesn't mean that your manifestation isn't what it was meant to be or isn't working the right way. It just means that this is what came with it, and maybe you weren't thinking about those things. And a lot of the time when these tests come up, when these challenges come up, this is when people freak out. This is when people's nervous system go, oh, this is too much. I can't do this. I can't handle this. And they start to contract. And this is actually when we can actually self-sabotage ourselves. So what we're talking about in this episode is really starting to normalize those tests, those challenges, those things that might be a little bit abnormal for you, and start to realize actually those things that you feel are abnormal, that's the normalization of your new reality. That is a sign that things are actually unfolding. Things feel abnormal. This feels strange. You're getting some new things happening in your reality that you're not used to. Well done. You're in a different reality timeline. So that is really such an interesting way to look at it. And in the past, when I didn't used to look at life as a game and I didn't have this frame, I would have things pop up that were part of my manifestation that I was just so closed off to that I wasn't thinking about. And it's so important to understand and accept that this is part of creating your reality, because this is the human experience. This is up, this is down, this is a rainbow experience. It's not just black and white.
100%. As we talked about in a previous episode, right? It's about taking your goals down from the pedestal.
Yes.
Like not having this incomplete vision of it where it's all perfection and it's all good and it's all easy. But, finding a way to embody the vibration of it being here would require you to also build in the vibration of the seemingly negative, the undesirable aspects of it. And so it's a really great exercise to think about whatever it is that you want to manifest and ask yourself, what are the pitfalls that come with that? What are the negatives? What are the opportunity costs? What are the added jobs? What am I giving up by taking that on? If we have a house, we're not going to be as loose about traveling anywhere at a whim all of a sudden, potentially.
Which is probably one of the reasons why we haven't got a house, because our number one value is freedom. So we love that we're able just to pack off and let loose. So this is really about going into the shadow.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive into the shadow. You've been manifesting something. Something has been unfolding. Let's give your example first.
Okay. So
I think it's like manifestation therapy today.
Yes.
I feel like let's talk about the things that have been uncomfortable lately.
So, I have, I guess, a little bit of a love-hate relationship with social media sometimes.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm in awe of its power, and I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a tool that you can use for good and for bad equally. I just personally have always found it a bit challenging to go all in on it, because I can see how it becomes something that demands more and more the more successful you are at it. And I see many people who fall into the trap of being perpetually absent-minded, perpetually documenting every single peak experience. And then thereby they're living their life kind of the way a concert goer who's filming the best part of the concert is not really fully experiencing the concert for something later. And that's just something I haven't been willing to give up. So I've been kind of standing on the sidelines a lot for the last, 8-9 years. However, recently with the launch of my new business retreat launch, where I'm teaching people how to run retreats, it's asked of me to step a little bit out of the shadows and put myself front and center. And one part of this is driving paid traffic ads. So it's actually using the, paying for people to see our advertisements. So I filmed a bunch of ads while we were in Cyprus, explaining how retreats are this wonderful thing that so many people can do, and that I've done this and I want to teach others, and yada, yada, yada. And for people to check out this live mastermind that I'm going to be running on a monthly basis. And so we're running these ads and it's working well. I'm getting all these people signing up to hear me speak about this and consider joining my coaching program. But at the same time, what comes with that is that there are plenty of people who are seeing it who don't have a very positive perception of what my ad is talking about. There are all kinds of people with all kinds of different opinions and ways of seeing the world, and who make assumptions within a 0.1 second, and who will say things in a comments section that they would never say to you out loud. They would never say that to anyone out loud. But when everyone's a keyboard warrior anonymous, and it's just the voices inside their head, people really let out a bunch of stuff. So, if you ever want to...
The shadow.
Yeah, if you ever want to experience the shadow, just run a paid traffic ad for anything, and you're going to, So for me, it's now I'm having this success. It's like, it's working. It's wonderful. There's all these people. I did my first live a couple of weeks ago, and I had 150 people suddenly live with me. It was an amazing experience. A whole bunch of people signed up. It's incredible. Wow, so much momentum. But the negative of it is that every other day right now, I'm waking up in the morning and I'll check my Instagram, and suddenly there's a bunch of messages in there publicly where someone's just slagging me off and having a go at me and being like, oh, another one of these fucking guys. And then it's triggering me to hold back. I've been doing the unsent letter quite often, where I'm writing some kind of savage reply, and then I delete it in the very last moment because I realize this is only going to make this thing bigger. But
let me tell everyone something about you.
What?
So, having been with the man opposite with me for 12 years, something that you might not know about Chris is Chris has an incredibly sharp tongue that is very witty. And you can really pull it out. You can have some savage one-liners, and you really know he knows how to make a great joke, but you also know how to really destroy someone.
I'm fully integrated.
And you have a shadow, and I think we all have a shadow. And it's not something that I see very often, but I feel, I've been witnessing this thing, like this retreat launch program. To give people a little context that are listening, like we have run over 28 retreats in our life. We have a company called Mindspo Retreats, and retreats have been one of the most incredible things that we've ever done. These are heart-led experiences that we are so passionate about, where we take people through a transformation to work on their mental health and to really work on their spirituality and to come home to themselves. And it's really an experience that is really special, and they're really, really, dear to us. And we have had such success with retreats in our own business, but also we are so excited about bringing people together to bring people together, because I feel like we live in this day and age where so many people are going through this loneliness epidemic. They're going through this challenge of just not feeling any human connection, and retreats are a beautiful way for, people to actually bring humans together for a purpose. And you are now teaching people how to hold space and coaching them through all the different elements and really giving people the shortcut to this beautiful industry. Because I feel like when we first started retreats, we had absolutely no freaking idea what we were doing. And we, ran retreats that could have been a lot better. They were still amazing retreats. Like, we never got any bad reviews at the beginning of our retreats. But now, knowing what we now know, we have so much knowledge that we can shortcut people's experiences so they can run better retreats, so they can really basically super speed this whole experience. And it's so funny for me because you're doing this from such a excited, heart-centered, you just want to teach people meditation and get more people being conscious leaders out there. And then some of the comments that you've been getting, I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, how did someone make that assumption of you from this 30-second ad where you're literally encouraging people to go out there, follow their heart, create their dream business, bring people together, and then you're just getting destroyed?
I'm not getting destroyed, no.
I know you're not getting
destroyed. But I'm stopping myself from destroying them. Okay, it's kind of like I built this really wonderful little sandcastle, and then some dickhead just comes along and just boots it right in front of me. And and then I have to stop myself from firing back. So it's testing my resolve. It's teaching me to be more patient. It's I talk about forgiveness and being conscious. There's this great one-liner which says, if you think you're so mindful, go spend the weekend with your parents. And this right now is every second day I'm being put to the test to forgive and forget, and to realize this doesn't really mean anything about me. This is just somebody having an opinion and expressing it, thinking that I'm probably not even going to read it. But I am. And this comes with this entire thing. I wanted this business. I wanted to reach people, and I have to accept the fact that the full manifestation of this requires many people to see it, some who it's for and plenty who it's not. And then that's now it. So if you'd have asked me weeks ago, months ago, what's it look like when you have your business and it's going to be all running and amazing? I wouldn't have thought about this part. I would have just been like, oh man, it's going to be amazing. So many people, they want to learn how to run retreats and everything's excited and it's a Tony Robbins event and everybody's got their hands in the air basically. And then instead it's, every couple of days I'm like, another one. but it's fine. Now what's happening now is, with each one of these messages, I'm becoming a little bit more desensitized in a positive way. I talk about that this stuff doesn't really matter, but it's easy for me to talk about it because it's not really happening to me quite often. But now it is. Ooh. And so now I'm having to put my money where my mouth is. And it works. So now I'm going to be able to hold a greater and greater charge of positive and negative, which then allows me to embody whatever I want to do next more. So, yeah.
So just like you, I'm having a very similar experience. My experience of my manifestation coming true is all around being seen and heard and exposed and holding space for that. So obviously one of my dreams was to start this podcast. This is something I've been manifesting for a long time. I've started the podcast. It's going great. I spoke in our vulnerability episode, which was a real big deep dive into the things that we're struggling with. Similar episode to this, but more vulnerable if you want to listen to that. And I spoke in that episode how this was a massive fear of mine. Starting a podcast is like, whoa, this is really out of my comfort zone. But I'm so happy I did it. And one of the manifestations I've had with starting a podcast is I've really had a strong desire for my social media following to grow. And you might hear that and think oh yeah, more numbers, whatever, you just want to be whatever. And no, I really have a desire for the people that I really want to connect with to see and hear my content. And I feel for such a long time, I've been on social media for a long time and I've done so many different things in social media. And I don't feel I didn't start this social media as a spiritual teacher and coach and a meditation teacher. I had so many different careers. I was a TV presenter and a radio host and a model and a travel blogger. My DJ. My social media and my Instagram has seen me go through so many different chapters. So not everyone in my following is necessarily followed me for the content that I put out now. So I've always been I can't wait for my social media to start organically growing again for the people that really want to see this kind of content that I'm talking about on this podcast. Now, recently that started happening and it was really cool because I've literally had this visualization in my head of people that are in alignment to the messages that I've been putting out coming to my social media. And this has been something I've been rehearsing in my head and seeing and feeling into and getting excited about. Keyword there. And I was oh, they're going to be really heart-centered, beautiful people that are really interested in this beautiful world of wellness and spirituality. They want to look after themselves.
They're kind.
They're kind. They're calm. They're meditating.
They're non-judgmental.
They're walking a higher path. Who the fuck did I think these people were? These are the people probably listening to this podcast.
Sounds like a pedestal.
Stop. I know. I had this visualization in my head, this pedestal visualization. Anyway, the people that listen to this podcast, I'm sure you are my people, right? You are my soul fam. I'm so happy that you're here. But in order for you to get here, a lot of people that aren't my soul fam recently have had to find my content. And I had a few clips go viral about me talking about manifestation, the law of attraction, and how everything is energy and vibration. And oh my gosh, did I get destroyed online. There is this one post on my Instagram, and I've deleted a few of the comments because it was just getting crazy, where basically a clip of me talking about how everything is energy essentially really hit the mainstream. And I was getting these men.
A lot of scientists.
No, not a lot of scientists. A lot of keyboard warriors, a lot of men in middle America on farms with guns, a lot of people that are really not into anything spiritual or any kind of happy wellness kind of content, finding this and then deciding to write the most savage messages to me, DMing me, messaging me, commenting me. And I started to, for the first time in a long time, have people that don't know me really find my social media. And this was actually all happening when we were in Germany, and Soul's grandmother wasn't 100%. So this was like, I was in this quaint town of Lippstadt, where Soul's from, which is this like middle of Germany, like super suburban German town, like riding bicycles around, having a beautiful time, while at the same time there was like war going on, what felt like war going on my social media. And it was such an interesting experience to kind of feel like for the first time in a long time that my social media is a reality. It is a world that is happening with or without me, because I'm putting out content that people are always finding, and that there can be like hell or chaos happening on my social media. It's not hell, but you know what I mean? Like chaotic conversations of just like random people, you know, writing stuff. While at the same time, I can be in absolute heaven, just like cruising around Germany on a bike. And it was such an interesting thing for me to hold. And as I have started to put out this short form content of my podcast and to be really seen and heard and to really share spirituality and mindset and meditation in a really free flowing way. Like, I'm not a very edited person. I speak from my heart. I really communicate from, just like my heart center. I speak from a good intention place, but people don't always perceive content the way that you produce content. People will only ever perceive what you put out on social media from their own perception of reality. And that is not your responsibility. And that is something that I've had to really learn with allowing myself to be fully seen and heard as the person that I am, as my authentic self, and realize that my authentic self is not going to be loved and liked by everyone. And I already knew that, but I think recently I've had to really experience that. I've also had to experience a large increase in dick pics coming to my DMs that are very unwanted. I don't even want a dick pic from the guy sitting opposite me, let alone some random guy. I've had the funniest comments though, where someone will send me like literally a photo of their dick and they'll say like, is this what you're attracting? Like some of the one-liners that I've seen, I'm like, where is your mother? Like, where is your mother? And
just got to search that last name.
Anyway, so I think like as funny as I laugh at all this, something that I'm really having to learn is that my social media, as I grow in my career and in this space, my social media is not necessarily always going to be my happy place. And I'm redefining my relationship with social media. And I'm starting to see my social media as a more professional place, as a more work-based place. And I'm really been doing a lot of work to separate my worth and value from my social media. And I've been doing that work for years, but I've been really intentional with reminding myself of that on a regular basis. And there's been some key things that I've been doing. So breathwork has been really helping me. Whenever I feel myself, like my nervous system feeling like, oh my God, what is going on here? I sit in and I do breathwork. Obviously, seated meditation, the Mindspo method is always my go-to, but breathwork can really help me when I'm feeling flighty and I feel like I need to like get the energy out, or I feel like I want to write back like a savage comment to someone, but I'm like, oh, I just actually need to release this. I've actually been like looking into some more somatic techniques like EFT tapping and that kind of stuff to really, I'm learning about how to become a practitioner of that at the moment. So I've been like looking into that and starting to really think about how I can think about the things that are triggering me with this and how I can move through them and do that like deeper work. So that's been really interesting. I've also been a lot more, I think, structured around my social media in the sense of I'm not checking my comments and my DMs like anytime, any willy-nilly time. Like I'm being really mindful not to look in my inboxes. I'm not getting back to as many people because sometimes the messages that I'm getting are a little bit surprising. And I just don't want to put myself in that space where I don't feel like.
And you don't need to.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting because this is what I'm talking about when it comes to manifesting. This is something that I'm learning. The more I grow my social media, the more people I reach, and the more people I connect with, and the more I grow this podcast and these platforms and put things out on YouTube. Like right now I have clips going out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then Instagram on like several different Instagram accounts. And it's an email. There's so many different ways to communicate with me, and I'm letting myself be less contactable. And I think that's been really, really key, because I've learned that in order to actually get to where I want to be in the next level of my manifestation and to have the impact that I want to have, it's not about numbers for me. It's actually about depth and impact. But in order for me to have the depth and impact that I want to have, I have to protect myself from people that aren't even getting me at like my level 1. Like people that are like, I had someone like messaging me today telling me that I was demonic. And I was like, oh my God, if that's what you got from looking at my profile for 5 seconds, like I can't even communicate with you. And I think it's really interesting that when we have these manifestations happen, when these like niggly, icky, strange, like kind of shadowy experiences happen, we really have to do the work to, one, regulate our own nervous system and realize that people are only ever seeing you from their level of consciousness. And we have to really do that work to look after ourselves first and come home to ourselves and learn how to hold that within ourselves and realize that that's the work, because safety is so important when it comes to manifesting. And I need to do a whole episode on this, but you will not manifest things that you feel are unsafe. And one thing that I've really had to do with this is when it comes to social media is I'm reminding myself that there is no danger with these messages that I'm getting. There's no inherent threat. And I'm telling my brain that, and I'm doing that work somatically, moving out through my body and just constantly reminding myself that I'm safe. It is safe for me to expand. This is part and parcel of it. And also like laughing it off. And I think that it's
You should start collecting the dick pics and we can make like game cards out of it or something.
Rosh's
print a card deck.
We should print a card deck of all like.
We played cards today at a cafe. I guess we shouldn't bring that pack with us to play. That'll be a little bit weird.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Like Soll and I, like literally, we played cards today at a cafe because we're both trying to spend a little less time on our social media.
Yeah.
And I think it's making me appreciate the other side of things. Like honestly, anyone listening, everyone that writes a review for the Mindspo podcast, like I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you because the reviews are like my happy space. I go on there, I read them. I don't always get to everyone's DMs, but I'm always reading the reviews and it just makes me feel so expanded. I'm like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like I might be getting all of this weirdness that is coming with this growth. Yeah. Like my Instagram account literally grew over 9,000 followers in a week. That has not happened to me like ever. And it's been growing now and it's so beautiful. And I'm so excited that I'm helping and connecting with people. And I just want to get as much information out there to as many people as possible. But at the same time, that me adding value to other people is coming at a cost for me energetically. And I'm learning how to balance that within myself. And I think the action step that I want to give to everyone listening to this episode today is I want you to just know that when these tests, when these challenges, when these speed humps come up, when you are manifesting something, this is not like abnormal. This is actually normal. And it is part of your manifestation to learn how to hold this. And maybe you need to go out there and get a coach, or maybe you need to go and get a therapist that can really hold space for you to listen to the challenges that you're going through. Maybe you need to rearrange your morning routine or get better boundaries. Like these are all things that start to, become relevant as you start to manifest things. Going back to your house example, which is such a nicer example than the example that we gave about like being destroyed online. We're not being destroyed, but we're just, you get the point. We just had this like recent challenge. But even with a house, it's like you have these challenges maybe of like having to be more organized or having to do paperwork. It's like you have to really think about all the different shades and all the potential shadows or challenges that come with your manifestation and set yourself up for success so you can know that this is what is going to come with that. And I think another thing is go out and ask people that have what you want or that are doing what you want, like how they manage it. I have someone that I follow online called Nicole Neuroscience, and I was literally messaging her about this. I'm like, how do you manage your DMs? Like reaching out to other people that have a bigger social media following or own a house or have whatever it is that you're manifesting and asking them like, how are you managing this? Like, how are you managing not just the ups, but the challenges as well? And I feel like just connecting with other people and realizing that this is part and parcel of growing, the discomfort zone is actually where the magic happens.
Yep. And every great change always comes with a big expulsion of energy.
Yes.
So we have to recognize this full spectrum when we're manifesting. Like if stuff starts going wrong, chances are it's because things are moving. You've got some momentum. Things are happening. There's going to be now new challenges that are going to test whether you're ready for the next level. You know, sometimes let's say you want to attract some new friends or something, or a new friend, and then suddenly you end up in an argument with another friend of yours, and you'll be like, oh my God, I wanted a new friend, and instead I ended up in an argument with a friend. But maybe that's the universe literally trying to make you reduce a little bit of the time that you're putting into one relationship so that you make space for the other one. You know, maybe you want a brand new job and you want to change and all this stuff, and then suddenly you get fired. You'd be like, oh my God, why always me? And it's like, that's actually what you wanted. You wanted a new job. Step one is you'd have to let go of your job potentially. Of course, it'd be so nice if a new job just came along and you could smoothly transition to the next one. But that's probably only going to happen to like a couple out of 10 people. And everybody else is just like being put up against the wall first. You end up for you to actually then manifest that new job. So yeah, I think it's just about recognizing the full spectrum. And I think the more you can do that, the less you hype up your goals and put them on a pedestal and talk about how everything's going to be so amazing, which is such a one-sided thing. Yes, it will be amazing, but it will be amazing because it will require some work. There's going to be some downs that are going to give you the contrast. You're going to look back and be like, wow, like didn't we come a long way? What an incredible experience. If you could just flick your fingers and suddenly have your dream house, you think that's what you want, but that's not really what you want, because that would come way too easy. You wouldn't have the same feeling of moving into that house after spending 6 months or 6 years, however long it took for you to get there. That's what's going to give you that feeling.
And I want to say one last thing on this that I think is so important that we kind of have not highlighted, and that is that the brain automatically focuses to the negative, right? So even though I say that I'm getting this and that, and you're getting things at the same time, like you're getting amazing clients that are wanting to build retreats with Retreat Launch. Like we have finding our dream clients that want to build retreat businesses that you are serving and they are loving your program. You're getting like the most amazing reviews for that program. And it's so incredible because it's literally helping people change their lives, create financial freedom and live their dream job. Like this is what we've done for years, create experiences all around the world, like insane. At the same time, I've had so many incredible brand new followers and messages and people that are finding my stuff, but my mind is noticing this negative aspect. Yeah. So I think what I want to say is notice the negative aspect, normalize the negative aspect, do the work to expand your nervous system to be able to hold the negative aspect, but then at the same time, go, what's the silver lining? What's actually happening here? Am I over-focusing on the negative? Like what is the good thing that is happening from this thing happening? And I think that's so important. Like in order for my social media to get to where I want it to be, in order for me to find my soul-aligned clients on this like absolute shit show that is the internet, I'm going to have to like walk through the forest and there's going to be some grizzly bears that are like coming out at me. And I'm like, whoa, here's the mace spray. And I'm like spraying these like troll grizzly bears. And then at the same time, like I had these like fairies and these like light workers are like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, hi, let's all come together. But I have to go through this forest, which is social media, to get there, and there's lots of creatures in the forest.
A forest of dick pics.
A forest. But you get the point. So I think that you have to remember that like this is part and parcel. Like this is the journey of you achieving whatever it is. And I feel like whatever is happening to you, I always like to think about like this. If you're feeling tested by your manifestation, maybe it's because the universe is like, you know what? I have this plan for you. And in order for you to get where you want to be, you need to get through this test. You need to learn how to hold this thing. You need to learn how to really embody this challenge because where you're going is great. And you have to know how to hold the end result.
You need a montage, basically, is what you're saying. You need a Rocky montage.
Kind of. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
100%.
You have to learn how to hold it.
Up.
Yeah. So this is your montage. Yeah. If you are getting the challenges, you are in your Rocky montage. Yeah. So get through that Rocky montage and know that at the end, you're going to be Rocky, baby.
Yeah.
I think we should go and watch Rocky now.
Yeah, I think we should.
Is that a 90s movie?
I think that's 80s even.
Can I just tell everyone, Soll and I have a thing for 90s and 80s movies because they are so good for the nervous system. There's no guns, there's no terrorism.
So
it's like no dystopian.
Well, if there are guns, it's kind of like a joke.
And
you know?
it's like slow. They're the best nervous system
when
regulators.
someone gets shot, they do like a double backflip. And so it just doesn't even seem realistic.
Anyway, that is our podcast episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. We are cheering you on always, every single step of the way with your manifestations. Just know that life is a rainbow. There are ups and downs. It rains, it pours. You've got this. Keep going. Keep tuning into these episodes. We're so excited for your expansion. And if you want to expand with us, come and sign up to Manifesty app. This is where we put all our meditations, our visualizations. This is how you can literally brainwash yourself for success and abundance and get yourself in alignment every single day. It is the piece of technology we wish that we had years ago. And then we literally created the code for you to be able to create your reality with clarity. So find it in the App Store, and we're sending you so much love. We will see you in the next one.
Thank you for joining me for this episode. You can discover more from Mindspo on Instagram and TikTok by following @Mindspo and myself @Rochelle_Fox. If this episode inspired you, then please pass it on and share the love. And if you're new to our world and you want to elevate your mind and step into your best self, then be sure to download our app, Manifesty, from the App Store and take advantage of the free trial. With Manifesty, you can create your own vision board movies, practice powerful meditations, and set affirmation reminders so your phone supports your journey towards that abundant vision of your future. And lastly, always remember, you create your own reality. So go and make some magic.